Welcome to the HIT podcast, H.I.T, Human Resources, Insurance, and Technology. I'm your host, Toby Kennedy. As we do every week, we are dropping into your feed on Tuesdays with what I hope are bite-sized, digestible, well-curated conversations going on in the space. This week's episode is brought to you by Montage Insurance Solutions. And without any further ado, let's get right into it. I field a lot of questions on the Affordable Care Act in general, and specifically, people like to talk about setting up their measurement stability period, whether it's in their handbook, in their HRIS platform, in their canonical system, walking through the steps of the legislation. Now, the letter of the law sort of applies month by month, but realizing that looking at your employees to see who works 30 hours per week or not, AKA full-time under the legislation, on a monthly basis, and then adding people and terminating people's too administratively cumbersome. So what the law does is provide for a safe harbor that almost all employers use, the look-back stability. So let's talk a little bit about it. There's a couple of parameters that the employer can choose within when you're setting up what's called your measurement period. That being said, you have up to a full 12 months that you can set your measurement period, and I like that. The reason I like that is different industries, different companies sometimes have ebbs and flows within heavy seasons, light seasons, etc. So if you were to measure during a specific season of the year, you might get a slightly inaccurate picture, right? With data, the more the better. So if we can use the full 12 months to measure our employees, that I think gives us the most accurate picture. The number is 1,560, 1560. That is 30 times 52, 30 hours per week, which is what the law defines as full-time, times 52 weeks in the year. So if we're gonna measure for a full 12 months, we're gonna draw a line in the sand and say, all right, we measure from point A to point B, and that is 365 days. We need to see, did that person work 1,560 hours or more? And if so, that person is benefits eligible, right? So when we're setting our measurement period, if we say, all right, I want to do it for 12 months, because I think that, doesn't artificially take into account the busy season, or maybe we're slow over the summertime or something like that, to where if we're just measuring part of the year, we might get an inaccurate picture. If I want to know whether or not my regular, ongoing employees are benefits eligible or not, let's do the 12-month standard measurement period, right? And the IRS uses the term standard to distinguish from initial measurement period, or the new hire stuff, which we'll get into in a minute. This is your ongoing employees. So your ongoing employees, you go, all right, how do I determine if they're benefits eligible for the upcoming year? I'm going to measure them, look back, in time, and see over the course of the year, did they work 1,560 hours, right? When you set a 12-month measurement period, you then by law have to have a 12-month stability period. But 12-month stability period, we have another thing in the insurance world that's 12 months. It's our plan year. Good news, right? So if I have a 12-month plan year, my insurance year, and let's just say, for example, my plan year runs January 1st to December 31st. I have a health insurance plan that runs concurrent with the calendar year. Well, then I like to tell my clients and people I'm advising on the matter, let's have your stability period run from January 1st to 12/31. In other words, the stability period within the law, within this sort of safe harbor, the look-back stability safe harbor, is the time under which you leave all employees, so long as they're still employed, under whatever shook out in the measurement period, right? So the measurement period is sort of this game of freeze tag, where you say, all right, I'm gonna look back at your hours worked to see if you worked enough to qualify. And so long as you're still employed, the stability period, as the name intends, people aren't changing. So whether you work more or less in the current stability period doesn't matter. You will be treated as either benefits eligible or not based on the results of the prior measurement period. And I'll line all this up in a second with some more dates. That being said, the last thing the law allows for is what they call the administrative period, because it understands that there's some time needed between concluding my measurement, seeing who all is benefits eligible, then getting those folks in a room, explaining them what the insurance is, getting their decisions, getting their elections, and getting that over the insurance company. So the law allows for up to a 90-day administrative period that leads into your stability period. Because it can't be more than 90 days, sometimes I like to pick a day that makes sense, maybe a payroll or something that runs concurrent with other things going on, right? So for example, if you had that January 1st plan year, and you're looking then to have your January 1st stability period, you can back it up but not exceed 90 days. So maybe we go 75 or 80, you get somewhere around October 15th. And you say, okay, I'm going to use the time from October 15th to the end of the year to be designated as my administrative period, which then means October 15th is the end of my measurement period. So the way this all stacks up is you say, okay, I'm going to measure from mid-October to mid-October every year. Every year in mid-October, I'm going to do a look back. I'm going to pull everybody's hours worked, and I'm going to see who worked 1,560 or greater, and those guys are benefits eligible. And do this every mid-October, and those are going to be the folks that I use that mid-October to year-end time frame to explain the insurance, get them enrolled, and tell them, hey, you get to join our plans for the next calendar year, and I leave them on the benefits for the whole stability period so long as they're still employed, right? And people kind of get tripped up about that to where they say, well, what if I measure from mid-October to mid-October and I find out that a certain employee did not work 1560, they're under, right? They didn't work enough. So I tell them they're not benefits eligible. And then the calendar year rolls around. I don't enroll them into the plans because you said, Toby, from that last mid-October to this mid-October to run it, they didn't work enough, but now they're working a bunch. They're full-time. Aren't I supposed to add them to the benefits? They're working a bunch. No, it's your stability period. Leave everyone alone, right? You measure from mid-October to mid-October, play freeze tag. You're full-time, you're not. You're full-time, you're not. You're full-time, you're not. And that is going to be your status for the entire upcoming calendar year, regardless of hours worked. And you say, well, they're working enough hours, shouldn't they qualify? Well, all those hours then will come out in next mid-October when you measure again. And then that person's newly enlarged work schedule will shake out in the next measurement, and therefore they'll be eligible for the subsequent year, the full year, so long as they're still employed, right? So that's where I like to say, okay, when you're setting these things up, let's say you're going into your HRIS system and it's asking you, hey, what's your measurement, what's your stability, et cetera, et cetera. I like to back it up from your plan year and say, okay, whatever your plan year is, so again, let's just say, for example, it's a calendar year, it runs concurrent with the calendar year. Let's make that your stability period. Whatever your plan year is, let's make that your stability period. From there, we can back up less than 90 days, find something that makes sense, maybe October 15th again in this example. So we then say, okay, our administrative period is October 15th to 12/31, because these things all need to stack. And then we can say, all right, backing that up further, our measurement now becomes October 15th to October 14th, right? So mid-October to mid-October. So that's how I tend to consult with folks when we're trying to figure out what we're going to do from a measurement, administrative, and stability period. That's where and when I pick in the calendar how to line these things up. Because again, I like the 12-month measurement period because it gives you the most data. If you take a 12-month measurement, you have to take a 12-month stability. I like lining my 12-month stability up with my 12-month plan year. And then you've got the kind of 75, not to exceed 90 days space in the middle that is your admin period. That is how you deal with your standard measurement, your standard administrative, and your standard stability period, right? These are your ongoing employees. This is sort of, I like to use the analogy of double Dutch, right? So the ropes are going. Everybody remembers this from back in your schoolyard days. The ropes are going. Those employees that are ongoing employees are sort of jumping. But you remember walking up to a game of double Dutch, you're sort of trepidatiously outside of the rope. You're trying to figure out, how do I get in? How do I become the kind of ongoing, right? So that's your new hires. A lot of times I explain all that stuff and they go, forget it. We're never hiring anybody, right? I don't want to have to figure this stuff out. You have your initial measurement period, and they use that term again to distinguish it from your ongoing game of double Dutch. When you hire somebody, you have to have them be benefits eligible inside of 90 days if they're going to be a full-time employee, right? So as far as the ACA is concerned, I don't care what you call your employees. We call them part-time and full-time and this time and that doesn't matter, right? You're either full-time or you're a variable hour employee, okay? So if your plan is letting new employees on first of the month following 30 or 60 days, that's great. That's, hey, we just hired a new CFO. That person is going to be boots on the ground at least 40 hours a week, probably more. That's a genuine full-time employee. That guy's got to be on within 90 days. So whatever your waiting period is for the plan, again, first of the month following 30, 60, whatever you do, that's great for those genuinely full-time employees. You hire those people. and you can kind of measure them once they've, they're on your benefits right away, and that one's easy. It's the variable hour employee. And the IRS is pretty lenient with what qualifies a variable hour employee. One of the examples they give is a retailer that hires somebody in peak season. So like, November, December, knowing that person's going to work a ton, but come January, February, are they still going to get that much shift work in to where they're going to be full-time? I genuinely don't know. I can genuinely defend myself if asked in court why I called this person a variable hour employee. Variable hour employees, you can subject to a waiting period of up to a 12-month initial measurement period. So that person comes in, let's say they're hired May 5th. You can tell that person you're being hired into a variable hour role. We will look back at your hours at your anniversary, right? So every month, you should, as an employer, be looking to see which variable hours are coming up on their 12-month anniversary with this company. Who did we hire? And under the ACA, we told them you're a variable hour employee. You're not benefits eligible right off the bat. You're being hired into a variable hour employee role. We will measure you at your anniversary. So then the following May comes up and you look back. Did that person work 1,560 hours or not? You hired them as a variable hour employee, which it's fine that you didn't add them to the benefits, but you need to look and see, hey, were they actually a full-timer? And if they were, okay, you then need to get them on the benefits by the first of the month following 30 days. So again, you hire that person sometime in the middle of May, comes up their 1-year anniversary. 30 days from that becomes the middle of June. So the first of the month following that is July 1st, right? The most you can make a variable hour employee wait is 13 months and change, right? So we get to their anniversary, we look back. And so every month, again, I'm looking to see, hey, who's coming up on their one-year anniversary that we determined to be a variable hour employee? Who's coming up on their 1-year anniversary that we determined to be a variable hour employee when we hired them? And now that they're at their anniversary, we need to look back. We need to see if they indeed worked 1,560 or not. And if they did, we got to get them on the benefits by the first of the month following 30 days of this exercise. So every month we're looking to see who's coming up on their 1-year anniversary. Did we accurately or not, assess that they should or shouldn't be on the benefits? It's fine. We got to get them on within the first of the month following 30 days of that. So that's how we get the new hires folded in. And if you gave them an initial measurement, you owe them an initial stability period, right? So regardless of hours worked during their initial stability period, if their measurement resulted in them, their initial measurement resulted in 1,560 or greater, you need to add them onto the benefits for at least 12 months. Even if their hours drop off, even if they don't come out in the wash of your regular ongoing double Dutch mid-October measurement, right? Because maybe they worked a bunch at first, but sort of tailed off. You owe them at least 12 months on the benefits, but you got to do whatever's more generous. Okay. So now that they've been here for 13 months and change, if their initial measurement showed that they weren't benefits eligible, but when you do your ongoing measurement, by that time, they have started working more hours and they are benefits eligible, you don't get to give them a 12-month stability period of not being on the benefits. You got to do whatever's more generous. So you do your initial measurement period, either put them on or don't put them on the benefits, and they go through their stability period. And now they've been with you for long enough to where when you're doing your mid-October measurement, you have 12 months of data for those people. So that's how you sort of fold them into the ongoing regular measurement that you do. A lot of moving pieces. I know it's kind of complicated. We're around. You can always bounce any questions you have off of me, but this is sort of the in a nutshell of how do we traverse the look-back stability for ongoing and new hire employees. That's all the time we have for you this week here on the show. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to TrueHue, Excel Health. Thank you to Rula. Thank you to Montage Insurance Solutions. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching. Join us next week. Join us every week. And until next week, make this the best week yet.